Hello and thank you for joining me today on The Political Conversationalist. My name is Ben Phipps. We're still continuing our Divisive Issues series of videos, and today we're talking about one that was more in the news right towards the 2016 election, but so far throughout his presidency has not really been brought up too much, and that is the possibility, or the desire thereof rather, of a border wall. So I looked into some things on that. In 2014, according to someone close to Trump, he had mentioned maybe a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. It was one of his major talking points during his campaign in 2015 and 16 and gained him a lot of support. Originally, it was necessary that it be a 30-foot tall concrete impenetrable wall, and according to him, Mexico was going to pay for it. Mexico, of course, is not going to pay for it. Now it's part wall and part fence, and some areas that are very remote in the mountains or deserts or whatnot don't need a fence really. So he's backed off his claims a lot, but he is still wanting to put some kind of barricade at the border. But regardless of that, there is roughly 2,000 miles of border between the U.S. and Mexico. About 700 miles have some kind of fence. But there's 1,300 miles left that have no type of fence whatsoever. A 2006 congressional report said a fence and maintenance for 25 years on that fence would cost about $16.4 to $70 million per mile. That's $21 to $91 billion for the remaining 1,300 miles. Some other logistical nightmares would be that there's some terrain that is so remote it would be almost impossible to reach. There's no roads there. Things would have to be airlifted in and out, and that's extremely expensive there. And also there are some areas where a wall of that size could not be anchored into any type of solid ground and therefore would not be stable. Also, we have to kind of ask our question first, do we really need a border wall? And a lot of people say, yeah, we got to have a strong, secure border, but let's look at some statistics here. In the year 2000, 1.6 million people were caught crossing the border illegally. In 2016, that number was only 192,000. The decline in illegal immigration has been somewhat steady over the past 20 years. We think that is, according to what I've read, that it is because the U.S. has a weaker economy, or during that time has experienced a slow general decline in its economy, and that there are more Border Patrol agents. I think ever since George W. Bush, each president has increased the number of Border Patrol agents. Then we also have to ask the question, okay, if we realize that we do need something because there are lots of people getting in the country illegally, can a wall or a fence really be the most effective? Since 2006, 80 sophisticated tunnels have been found to cross the border, and illegal immigration by boat, especially on the California side, has become increasingly popular. And one last thing to consider is a fence would need some type of electronic alert system if people are trying to climb it or dig under it or cut through it. It would have to have some kind of camera or sensor, motion sensor type thing that would actually allow Border Patrol agents to see what's going on. A static fence by itself isn't going to do much against a ladder. So my thoughts are pretty simple on this matter, but I did read into some interesting new technologies. Increased security is good, but the country is already massively in crippling debt, and I think I say that in almost every video now. But a new possibility is what's called a virtual wall. There's a company called Anduril, which is testing a system they call Lattice. I believe in Texas right now, but they're testing it at the border. And the way it works is that you have towers with sophisticated laser sensors and cameras and things like that that can detect everything within a 2-mile radius of that tower. So if you were to detect someone crossing the border illegally, it would alert Border Patrol, and they could see see what was going on. That sort of thing is a possibility that needs to be explored further, because building a tower every 4 miles is going to be a lot cheaper than building a concrete wall every mile over 1,300 miles. And technology really is a great thing, and I think also that could help us if ever there were a border shift or maybe if we acquired some new land or something like that, that would be something that's easier to shift rather than just a static wall. One last difficulty of building a wall is that it also crosses through 2 Native American reservations. The border crosses through the middle of those reservations, and many people say we don't have any right to put a wall through those reservations. So my thoughts are pretty simple. I hope that we can explore this new technology that is currently being tested and having promising results in Texas, of a virtual border wall, and maybe implement that kind of strategy to be more cost effective, work smarter, not harder kind of thing, and not have to worry about having an actual 30-foot concrete impenetrable wall. And I think also a virtual wall tends to be a more bipartisan thing. Some Democrats have shown their support for it, as opposed to Republicans are almost always in favor of a physical wall. And I believe the reason for that is people who are just trying to get here to survive tend to go around the wall or around the fence that is there, and since that drives them into barren territory, they can often perish. And there are often bodies found near California where someone was trying to walk around the wall to get into the U.S. because you have to walk pretty far out in no man's land to get around the wall. But anyway, that's hopefully a promising and bipartisan technology, a bipartisan solution to a problem that is thankfully by itself dwindling off. I hope you learned a little something today. If you did, leave me a comment below, like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or suggestions or comments that you want to keep private, or a suggestion for an upcoming video, a question for an upcoming Q&A video, you can always follow the link to my Facebook page down below, and there'll be a button there you can email me from. I'll keep it 100% confidential unless you say otherwise. Thanks for watching.